Victoria Vikings, Ford Clemens, and Manitoba Bison's Brian Light to please go to center court where Larry Lanning will toss up the ball.
Have a ceremonial tip-off between Cord Clements of the Victoria Vikings and number 12 from the Manitoba Bison's Brian Light.
That may be the best toss we get tonight.
That's right.
I mean,
that's right.
Now, where do you see the officials get after me? If they're not after me now. Especially Donnie Klein out there. I see Klein an awful lot, and he does an awful lot of international basketball with us.
All right, we're set to introduce the starting lineup to you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to introduce you to the starting lineups for tonight's second game of this CIAU Basketball Championship
Now here
Tournament.
are your starting lineups.
Beginning with the Victoria
For
Vikings.
the visiting team on the scoreboard, the Victoria Vikings. Starting at guard, 6 foot from Richmond, British Columbia, number 11, Lloyd Scrubb. Also at guard, 6'2".
All right, there's Lloyd Scrubb, starting guard for the Vikings. Starting at the other guard is Graham Taylor.
At forward, 6'7", from Courtney, British Columbia, number 15, Phil O.
And there's the guy a lot of people will be watching in this game, including the Manitoba defense, Phil O. Dave Sheehan starting at the other forward position. And here's the big guy, Cord Clements. If he's on, he is just a tremendous factor.
That's right. He can dominate the basketball.
Now for the Manitoba Bisons.
The introductions of the Manitoba Bisons now coming up. Their starting five will be, first of all, at center. Number 12, Brian Light. A native of Winnipeg, 6 feet 8 inches. Another Winnipeg native, an all-Canadian candidate, Joe Uggams. He plays at forward. One of the guards out of Ottawa, Ontario, one of only 2 Manitoba players from out of the province, Tony House, number 22. Number 44 at the other forward position from Thunder Bay, Ontario, John Hymanen. And the other guard, 6 foot 4 inches from Winnipeg, Tony Kaufman.
But don't just say the other guard, Tony Kaufman. That guy is whacking the ball up at almost 20 points a game. He's really done a job. And young House, I know him from high school. He's done a great job, and he's got a young brother coming along right behind him.
We have the officials for tonight's game, Don Stepanchet and Don Klein.
Don Klein has got his best view, his best part of him facing us right now. We got a view of the back of Don's head.
We didn't tell you this. We fixed him up with a headset. So
I got to tell you, I better not. Well, as long as I'm not sitting over the other side coaching one of these teams, which is where the problem could be.
All right. The Manitoba Bisons against the Victoria Vikings. Game 2 of the CIAU Championship Final, the Final Four. The winner of this one will go on to face the Waterloo Warriors in Sunday's final. The Warriors beating St. Francis Xavier 87-79 in this evening's first game. Victoria controls the tip. Clements dumps it off to Taylor. He goes to Scrubb. This is the first time I've seen Victoria play without having Vito Pasquale start at guard. You've seen him since he was
They've
put
been
on the
playing
bench.
Scrubb. They've been putting Scrubb. And there's not a problem with Vito. It's just that this young man, Lloyd Scrubb, is really gives him a little different dimension, and if he slows down a little bit, in they come with Pasquale.
Well, the first points belong to Victoria. Who else? Phil Ohl, and that's a guy you should keep a close eye on tonight.
That's right.
Uggams controls the long inbounds pass for the Bisons, and he almost lost it that time, too, to Sheehan. On the far side, it's House. Dumps the pass off. Going for the baseline and driving. Number 12 for the Bisons, Brian Light. That ties it at 2. We're just into the first half. Scrubb bringing it out for Victoria.
Press. This is the same press that Victoria uses. However, these guys, Manitoba, is using it to eat up the clock.
Great save by Phil Ohl. He got the ball back in bounds to Clements. Scrubb on the far side to Taylor. Fakes the jumper, passes off to Clements. The basket does not count.
We had a 1-3-1 matchup defense being played at that time by Manitoba. It's a little tough to handle. What we mean by the matchup is they line up 1-3-1 and then try and find a man in their area and stay with them. A little trouble sometimes for teams to handle.
Rebound!
Clemens drops that one. 4-2 for the Vikings. You're watching CIAU basketball, the Final Four here on TSN.
House, there's the guy that's going to change that press. Now, he threw that ball away that time, but I know the coach, Rick Suffield, feels there's no great problem out there with presses because Tony House is going to solve any problems that arise.
Time will tell. Uggams with the bucket for the Bison, and that ties it at 4. And Vic will bring it back in bounds.
Stay on the middle man. Stay on the middle man. Go now. Got middle, look at deep. Come on, John.
Moving it up court for Victoria, number 22, Sheehan. Passes off to Taylor.
Ryan, look. You got two, Joe. You got two there, Joe.
Back out on top to Scrub. Into Taylor. Inside to Wohl. Up underneath with the rebound and couldn't put it home. Great play by Sheehan. He just couldn't get the ball to drop, but he busted through traffic looking for that rebound and got it and couldn't jam it home.
Very underrated player. There's a young man that we didn't expect to be coming up with that kind of, you know, we're told about Uggams. We've seen him go. We know House can handle the ball. We know we're going to get some points out of Kaufman. But here's Brian Light coming up with a couple of buckets early.
He and Hyman are both kind of unknown quantities as far as we're concerned, but I'll tell you what, they don't look like unknown quantities as far as basketball is concerned. They're just playing great in the early going. This is Hyman with the ball now. Back out on top to Kaufman. On the far side, it goes to Uggams. To Kaufman in the middle. The jumper hits, bounces off, and rolls away.
Hey, we're going to see Mr. Perpetual Motion out there in Phil Ohm. I mean, he just goes the whole time.
For a big man, he's really surprising. Cord Clemens underneath. Rejection by Uggams. Good defense. You can see why he's an All-Canadian candidate.
That's right.
Almost a steal by the Bisons. Kaufman looking for that ball. Just about got it away from Scrub.
They got here with a good, tough defense, the Bison, so you know that they're going to play a good one here.
There was an example right there. Hyman at that time steals the ball away from Clemens. Stuck up behind him. Clemens didn't even see him coming. Light underneath. Shot does not drop. Ohl starts it out for Victoria. Passes back to Scrub. He slows it down now, moving into the Manitoba zone. A 6-6 tie. Victoria and Manitoba. The second game of the CIAU semifinals, the Final Four. And we're happy to bring it to you here on the Sports Network. Shot taken by Sheehan. It doesn't drop. Up with the rebound is Light for Manitoba to House. Ahead to Kaufman. Can't get inside. Boy, I don't know. Lloyd Scrub has called a foul. I thought that Kaufman tripped himself. Mind you, I'm very partial to teams that wear yellow. 6-6 the score. We'll be back to the Halifax Metro Center in just a moment. This is the CIAU on TSN.
We're taking a look right here when we get back in this. We take a look. That's the defense that Victoria set up in. Here's how Manitoba's going to handle it. One man taking the ball out, two guards here, two men up here. This is Uggams. Uggams will not come to the middle. When the ball goes in, and especially if it goes to House, they bust in through here. The ball goes here, the man who took it out runs down here, Uggams down here, and they've got House coming out here. So that's the way they handle it.
Jumper by Kaufman from the baseline. It falls, and it's 8-6 Manitoba early on. 15:45 remaining in the first half. The winner of this game will go on to face the Waterloo Warriors for the CIAU Basketball Championship. The Warriors defeating the St. Francis Xavier X-Men 87-79. Just a short time ago, you saw the game right here on TSN, and now we've got the second half of this CIAU doubleheader. Victoria against Manitoba. Manitoba leading 9-6. The Vikings bringing it out of their zone.
Same type of
Phil Hall, and the foul is called against House. That was kind of what a coach would call a bad foul because there was no need for it.
He didn't get his feet moving. You know, he's a young player. It's his second year, not young in experience, but young in age and young in experience at university. But he's a good player, and they use him very well, and he uses his strengths very well.
Waterloo coach Don McCray told us at the intermission between these two games that the Vikings did not have the offensive punch that they've had in the last couple of years. Of course, losing some of the guys they did, that's understandable. I mean, they lost, I guess, two of the best shooters in Canada.
And then Wiltshire, Greg Wiltshire, Kelly Dukeshire, Eli Pasquale. They lost them to the national team. I mean, we lost them also in a way. But I'll tell you, Manitoba is coming out. It's a 1-3-1 matchup zone, and it seems as if Victoria's having a little bit of trouble. Maybe they're doing too much thinking about it. Here we go. Keep an eye on house.
Well, we're seeing some great examples of this Manitoba defense they were telling us about, and we're also seeing some pretty good examples of offense. The follow-up that time by Uggams. I'll tell you what, it's 11-6, and this is very reminiscent of the first game we saw this evening when the St. Francis Xavier X-Men, who were the underdogs, jumped out to an early 13-5 lead over Waterloo. Manitoba leads this one 11-6. Victoria seeded second in the tournament. Manitoba seeded third. But you can throw that stuff out the window, as Donahue will tell you.
This one is a little different because it's Victoria having real trouble with the defense. Look at those two guys. Manitoba must have stolen the ball about 6 times and it got back again.
I'll tell you what, this team looks like a volleyball team the way they dive around out there. They're not afraid of the wood.
Too, Kaufman and House out there are like a pair of pickpockets. For crying out loud. They bump you, the other guy takes it away from you. Not that I have any personal experience with pickpockets, except as a pickpocket. What is it? The guy who gets pickpocketed?
A victim.
A victim. That's right. That's true.
All right, 11-6. Manitoba leading. Less than, just a little over 14 minutes remaining in the first half.
A little bit of a delay there. I guess the referee had to clear up exactly where to foul, why to foul. I guess just as important.
Victoria inbounds to Clemens. He dishes off to Scrub. To Taylor, long jumper. They're not desperate enough to be shooting from out there yet.
Well, they nearly had, you know, Court Clemens grabbing that rebound, but I think that we're going to find Manitoba, those smaller Manitoba players might be a little quicker unless Victoria gets Ole and Sheehan right closer to the boards. Can't count on Court Clemens getting.
I'll tell you what, from what I've seen of Court Clemens in the past, he's a guy that has to have a fire lit under him. He sometimes has a tendency to get off to a slow start in a ball game, and you've seen that before too, I know.
Well, most big guys, most big guys look like it. We got Phil Ole on a foul, Phil crashing the boards there, and Ken Shields tells Donnie Klein, the official, that he does not think that was the right call. May have said it in different words, but the idea was there.
What words would they be?
He probably said, I doubt that very much.
You heard it here first.
But they've got the ball back, Victoria, and they've got themselves a bucket.
Jumper taken by Ole. 11-8. Kaufman. Well, I'll tell you, Ole had the position. Now, I don't know what they're going to say on the call. It looks like it's just an out-of-bounds play.
Just going to be. We've got Eli Pasquale coming in here for Mr. Taylor, for Graham Taylor.
Pasquale with his Kareem goggles.
And Terry Garrow is in for Manitoba. Terry is also an Ottawa player. He's the other non-Manitoba player.
This is a young guy who made just a great play on our highlights in the pregame show tonight. He made the play that set up a beautiful basket scored by House in that Manitoba UPEI game in the Midwest Regional Final.
Well, that ball comes in here. Uggams pumps, doesn't get hit, batted away, and here we go again. And it looks as if we've got Uggams getting grabbed and knocked away, and the foul was on the big